Here at Centers for Spiritual Living, our Sunday morning talks are based on our global organization, Center for Spiritual Living, our global themes for 2022. And the theme for this year is Living Everyday Wonder. And this year-long theme has been designed to take our different aspects of our ordinary lives and see if we can find the wonder that is inherent in each and every one of these areas. To actually look at the ordinary and find the extraordinary in that is a true high spiritual practice. And so that's what we're about this year here at Centers for Spiritual Living. This month, we are going to begin the exploration of our emotional life. I like to base each of my talks on one or more of our core beliefs. So this month's statement of philosophy comes from our Declaration of Principles, written by our founder, Ernest Holmes. The principle that we're working with this month is, we believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. The ultimate goal of life is a complete freedom from discord of every nature. It's our emotions that cause all of the discord that we feel in life. Every single thing can be contributed back to one of our emotional experiences that we've had. Our emotions lead us on a roller coaster ride where we experience all of the highs and all of the lows, all of the trials and tribulations, all of the moments of ecstatic joy, and the moments of deepest despair. All of these stem from our emotions. And our emotions are with us from our very first breath to our very last breath, and every single moment in between. Emotions are one of the most fascinating topics of human existence, and it has been studied since the beginning of time. Many attempts have been made to categorize and classify and create lists of all the various emotional responses that human beings had. They've tried to predict what emotion people are going to have based on what circumstances they're in. They've tried to predict what the responses will be. They have done everything imaginable to study emotions and try to figure them out at an intellectual level. They've even done studies on other animals to see if the emotional responses in humans are present in them. Some of the earliest writings I could find about emotional studies and emotions in human beings were from the Greek philosophers, from Socrates and Plato. In fact, the philosopher Aristotle wrote that there are 9 basic human emotions. Coming forward in time, Charles Darwin listed 34 different basic human emotions. And in a definitive study of emotions that has been used for many, many years, this study was conducted in 1970, psychologist Paul Ekman identified 6 basic emotions that he suggested were universally experienced in all human cultures. And they are the emotions of happiness, sadness, fear, disgust, anger, and surprise. But then in 2017, a study published by the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences suggested that there are far more basic emotions than previously believed and previously identified by Ekman. The Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences listed 27 different categories for emotions. And then to do one better than that, in the newest book by Brene Brown, Atlas of the Heart, she has listed 87 different emotions or emotional responses. It was interesting. She said when she first began her research that most of the participants in her research groups could only name 3 different emotions. They experienced being happy, sad, or angry. And that 90% of most humans would go to one of those emotions when asked how they were feeling at that particular time. Happy, sad, or angry. But she came up with 87 of them, and it's quite a fascinating read. If you have an opportunity, we did it as a book study. If you have an opportunity to read the book, I highly recommend it. All emotions are okay. Honestly, every single one of them. You are perfectly entitled to feel any and all of the emotional responses inherent to humans. I think the problem with emotions comes from us not dealing with them. It comes from not expressing them, or waiting to express them until we are so fed up that we blow up, and then our emotions have an exaggerated response for the situation. I think that's where we get into issues with our emotions. But most of us have been taught during our childhood to shut down our emotions, or to run or hide from them. We are taught not to cry or express our emotions outwardly, so often that leads to the development of other not so healthy ways of dealing with them. Often society has trained us that certain emotions are bad while others are good. And this can cause us to really be hard on ourselves when we experience a certain emotions that are normal, and when they occur, we become overly concerned about how we are responding to them. And we shut them down because we feel embarrassed or ashamed, or we're put down by others when we express these emotions. And hiding these emotions, covering them up, pushing them down. This is how hidden beliefs develop. Hidden beliefs that affect the outcome of our everyday experience. These hidden beliefs are things that we don't really know that are operating in us, that have developed over time from this holding in our emotional response. And these hidden beliefs, those are the things that often sabotage our lives. Many of us grew up in families that didn't talk about their emotions. Maybe many of us probably grew up in a family that never even talked openly about the problems the family was having. Did your family ever sit around at the dinner table and discuss the challenges that happened for you at school, and how you handled them, how you responded to them, the emotions that you felt during them? Did your parents discuss how they solved problems at work or with each other in front of you? Did you talk about emotional responses? Did you talk about the emotions that happened, that you experienced on a day-to-day basis, and how those emotional responses to situations that you were experiencing were occurring? I know this wasn't the case for me. I really have a very lovely family. I grew up in a very, very stable home, but my family didn't discuss the things that were going on until they became a very open and very difficult problem. My parents did not argue in front of me. I only ever remember seeing my parents one time have a fight, and it was a shouting match. If they got angry, and I'm sure they had to at some point, I don't ever recall them having much of an argument or a fight about anything. And as a result of this, I grew up with a very strong desire to avoid any situation in which anger was being expressed. I mean, I would run from the situation. Even if I wasn't the angry person, I would leave the situation because it was so uncomfortable for me. I remember I never could stand to watch some of those talk shows that were on where people were arguing with each other, because that arguing meant anger, and anger wasn't something I was going to be around. You know, it wasn't that I wasn't allowed to express emotions. I totally was. I just don't ever recall that we did much expressing of negative emotions. My parents were very loving. They were very demonstrative with their love, but we didn't talk about emotions. I think these unexpressed emotions cause us to develop many of the coping mechanisms that we then have to unlearn. And they lead to all kinds of hidden beliefs that in turn cause us to experience this discord of life. You know, they often lead to these coping mechanisms that can actually turn into addictions and cause detrimental harm in our lives, because we've suppressed something that we're not even aware we're suppressing, and based on a belief we're not even aware it's acting in our lives. And it's not until we start to look at what is going on and what is triggering us to engage in this coping mechanism based on what emotion that we're experiencing. I don't think we can get past the discord that we're feeling until we actually begin to look at this. You know, by facing our emotions and looking underneath of them, we learn how these hidden beliefs originated. Then we can do the healing work necessary to process them instead of hiding from or ignoring them. By embracing all of this variety of emotions, we can uncover our hurts and pains. We can apply forgiveness to the situation, compassion to those involved, and love to help them and ourselves heal from it. This is when tough times become learning opportunities for us. We grow through emotions and bring balance into our lives when we are actively, consciously dealing with them. When we no longer need to ignore them, to run or hide from the pain, we can move into welcoming the experience into our lives with open arms and hearts. Welcoming these painful emotions means looking directly at it in the face and seeing what it has to say for us. It means facing it head on. And this usually requires a great deal of courage and strength, but also a great deal of humility. Because this is tough work that we're doing. We have to be willing to look at our own issues, our own faults, our own emotions, and what's happening in our lives at this moment. And that is courageous work. But that's why our spiritual practice is essential, because it can provide the support necessary for us to process through the experience. For example, using a mantra or journaling or meditating or working with a practitioner or a prayer partner are helpful ways that we can welcome our emotions and learn from tenderness and pain and bliss. This isn't just about the hard things. It's about the joyful things too. We experience as much discord in our lives when we are unable to experience the bliss that is available to us as we do when we're experiencing the hurtful things. It's shutting ourselves off from what is available to us in this moment. A deep intuitive listening can serve as a guide for exploring these areas of the emotional spectrum. We have this amazing inner guide, and it knows where these treasures of learning and growth are. And it can serve as a useful compass for the access of them. The areas to probe are where we find our inner resistance. When we find ourselves closing off and shutting down and feeling a tightness within us, that's an area where we need to work. And we can just simply take our time and apply our spiritual practices to support us, to go deeper into our exploration, to unpack the situation and learn from it. Our journey can uncover additional work that needs to be done, or more support that is needed for the excavation. But in the end, this cleaning out and discovery process will yield a healthier and happier you. We usually experience a variety of emotions simultaneously, since there are so many emotions that are in the emotional spice rack. When there is a balance of the emotional spectrum, usually all is well. When we are able to deal with our highs with an equanimity, and when we're able to deal with our lows with that equal balance, that's when we feel like we're in tune with our life. We're in touch with what's going on in our lives. It's when the emotions are skewed to either extreme. That's when the disharmony and that's when the discord comes in. Too much joy and bliss can cause overexcitement, anxiety, or too much stimulation, or that fear that it may go away. Too much sadness can cause depression and a whole myriad of other emotions. Too much fear can cause us to be insecure, to isolate, to feel unworthy, to have doubt. We are constantly working through our emotional processing center based on what is going on in our lives and in the world. Given our extreme local, national, global events of the last couple of years, and all of these circumstances that have come about because of them, many of us have been on hyperdrive emotionally. Our emotional responses to things are more exaggerated than they might normally be because we are under a period of stress. It's a constant effort to work through these opportunities of emotional learning and healing so that we're not oversaturated in one direction or the other. And again, our spiritual practices are an excellent way to stay grounded and to process the constant emotional swings of life. Like anything in life, practice makes perfect in maintaining emotional health and balance. Staying aware of our thoughts, our moods, and our disposition is a healthy practice. Creating balance in our activities helps our emotional center stay balanced. Exercise, rest, a healthy diet, positive engagement with others, self-care, spiritual practice, healthy stimulation and activity, they all serve to support and balance us and bring us into a more harmonious relationship with our others in our lives and with ourselves. Having our mixture of emotions be too dull or too spicy can be key indicators of an area in our life that requires extra attention or focus. These can be learning opportunities for calibration and for healing. By paying attention to the signs and the signals of what may be seeking our attention, based on our emotional response, we can take timely action where it's needed. Again, this is an opportunity to turn to our spiritual practices. And when necessary, seek out the assistance of our amazing practitioners. Find a prayer partner. Turn to someone else when you can't know this for yourself, when you're stuck in a place where you can't see what's operating here, when you're having trouble finding the hidden belief. Our practitioners are specially trained to help you move through that. So when you're having difficulties dealing with emotional responses and the subsequent discord that happens because of them, turn to one of our practitioners. Seek help from someone else. Take a class. There are amazing opportunities to learn new spiritual practices and ways to apply spiritual practices that you already know in a deeper way. We're just getting ready to start a class in June, our visioning class. Our visioning class is more than about learning the visioning process. One of the key elements of our visioning class is taking us through the 4 levels of spiritual consciousness, the 4 levels of connection that we have to Source, and how our lives operate at each of these 4 levels, and how we can move from one level to the next level. And that's through our spiritual practices and through becoming aware of what is actually operating within us. Taking that time to find the hidden belief, to see how it's active in our lives, to see how we are responding to this belief, and to take action to find a new response for it. We can learn all of these things in our wonderful classes that we offer here. So take a look at what's happening around you in your world. This will provide clues for your exploration. And then take action to reveal your hidden beliefs and unhealthy strategies for dealing with them. Staying healthy in any area of our life requires effort, including our emotional response center. This being human is a dynamic process and requires ongoing attention. Keeping our emotional center healthy takes awareness, courage, compassion, strength, and faith. It is work of a lifetime, and doing it will transform your life. All right, let's take this into prayer now, to our spiritual mind treatment. Again, this is one of our spiritual practices. This is a great way of taking those hidden beliefs and unhealthy behaviors and affirming that those are leaving your experience in a profound and deep way through our spiritual practice can be really a positive force for change in your life. So it's something that I encourage you to engage in. If you are stuck with it, we have prayer support available for you all of the time. You can always send in an email prayer request, and our prayer practitioners will put you on the list. If you'd like us to write out a prayer for you through your prayer request, just note that on your request, and we will be happy to send you a written treatment to something that you can use on a daily basis to help you move through the problem, the situation that you're dealing with, the emotional turmoil and the discord that's happening in your life. Just let us know. We're here to help you, and we are so, so grateful when you ask, because honestly, whenever you ask for our help, we get to practice our spiritual work too. So it's really a win-win situation for all of us concerned. So please reach out to a prayer practitioner, reach out on our website, reach out to their phone numbers are listed. You can contact us any way that you want to, through phone, email, or seeing us in person on our Sunday in-person services. So please reach out to a prayer practitioner and get support for this. All right, let's go into our spiritual mind treatment. I just invite you to take in a breath and settle yourself into your body. And so right here and right now, I recognize that there is only one thing happening, and that is the action and the activity of the divine. Is it present in this space? It is present in me. It is present in all life. It is the guiding and directing force of everything and everyone. that is, that has ever been, and that is yet to be. For nothing exists outside of this one. It is that balance and harmony that keeps the planets moving, the tides flowing, the stars in the sky. It is that one eternal essence, that one power, that one presence. It is that creative love intelligence that has brought forth everything into existence. Because I know there's only one, I know that I am one with it. That the power and the presence of this one resides right within me. That it is moving through me and showing up as me in all that I am and all that I do. And as I know this is true for me, I know this is true for all creation. That each one of us is a unique and perfect emanation of the one, endowed with all that Spirit is. It is that unconditional love, that perfect peace, that divine harmony and balance. And so in complete realization of the presence of this one, I speak my word. I know that right here and right now, all life exists in harmonious balance. That there is an ebb and a flow to all emotions, to all feelings, to all discord. That everything is seeking its equal place in the universe. That everything is seeking that power, that presence, that divine harmonious condition that we call life. I know it is through taking a deep exploration into our spiritual practices, into seeing what is really happening within our lives, to finding the hidden beliefs and allowing them to be released, that we enter into a more harmonious relationship with not only ourselves, but with everything around us. I know that as we begin to uncover the discord in our lives and find a place of peace and equanimity, that our lives unfold in harmony and balance. There is a divine right order that is happening throughout all life right here and right now. It is present in each one of us, simply waiting our acknowledgement of it. And so I just give great thanks for this knowing. I'm so grateful to feel this power and presence. I'm so grateful to see it operating. I'm so grateful to know that this is the truth of all life. And so I release this into the law, into the creative aspect of Spirit that knows no boundaries or limitation, that is always saying yes. I let it go and I let it be. And so it is. Amen.